Hello, my good people. How are you doing today? Osiemo Doctor here, and welcome to my health talk show today as we keep on educating each other, right? So, today, there is a condition that we want to talk about. It's a condition that affects both children and adults. Although it's common in children, but it can also happen in adults. And it's one of the conditions that most people will even shy away from disclosing that they do have it, right? So we were talking about a condition called nocturnal enuresis. Nocturnal enuresis in layman language or simple terms is bedwetting. I believe when I say bedwetting, the point now is at home, right? So we have people who are actually struggling with the problem of bedwetting, and it normally happens at night. So before we even go in details, we need to understand what is really bedwetting, why does it happen, how does it happen, and how can it be managed, right? So that you are able to know if you have this problem on how to approach it, right? So nocturnal enuresis, or simply bedwetting, this is what we call involuntary wetting of the bed or involuntary urinating while you are asleep. Yep. So we do have basically two types. What we call primary bedwetting and secondary bedwetting. So primary bedwetting is where somebody had never stopped bedwetting from childhood. If for that case, if it's an adult, right? And then secondary bedwetting, it's somebody who stopped bedwetting, especially in childhood, and then developed this problem later on in life. So those are the two differences. Now, bedwetting is normal to children up to a certain age. In normal circumstances, children can bedwet up to a certain age, especially between the age of 5 to 7. Although there are those ones who, happen to have their bladder control early enough than others. So there is no specific time frame that mtoto akifika 5 years that now he or she will stop bedwetting. But at least by the age of 7 years, we expect that the child stops bedwetting, right? But now if it happens beyond that, through the teenage and even to adults, now that one becomes now a condition, which now we call nocturnal enuresis or just bedwetting. Now, before we look at how it can be managed, we need to know how it's brought about, what causes nocturnal enuresis, and what effects can it cause, be it social effects, medical and the psychological issues. We want to categorize into two: causes of bedwetting in children and the causes of bedwetting in adults. So in children, in most cases, kids sleep more than adults. If children are in a very deep sleep, they can end up having this problem of bedwetting. That is one. Number two is hormonal issues, or what we call hormonal imbalance. When we talk of hormonal imbalance, we are talking about hormone called diuretic hormone or antidiuretic hormone. So antidiuretic hormone is the hormone that controls overproduction of that. So if this hormone is out of balance, it can lead to nocturnal enuresis. And then another thing is, that is number 3, is a small bladder. If the child has a small bladder, it means he or she is not able to hold more urine in that bladder. For that case, it can lead to bedwetting. Another thing is genetics. When we talk about genetics here, we mean that there are some families, where it runs into that family. There is history of bedwetting in that family, so it's genetical predisposition for that case. And then, of course, constipation. If a child has constipation, the rectum presses a lot of pressure on the bladder because the rectum is full of feces. Somebody is not passing stool, so it compresses, so it puts a lot of pressure on the bladder, hence causing that kind of nocturnal enuresis. Of course, stress and anxiety is one of the causes in children. When we talk of stress and anxiety, it can come from school. It may come from parents if the child is a bit stressed. Yeah, so it can lead into that. So if the child may be in school, there is an abuse, the child is not having proper care, the child is abused in one way or the other, they may end up having that kind of a problem, right? Yes. Now, about adults, we need to look at what causes in adults, right? In adult bedwetting, there are also some other causes. One of the causes is what we call medical conditions. So when you talk of medical conditions here, we mean conditions like diabetes. It can be one of the conditions. UTIs, it can lead into bedwetting. Conditions like BPH, prostate enlargement in men, it can lead to that. Some neurological problem. For instance, somebody has a spinal injury or a spinal issues, it can lead into such kind of a problem. Also, problems of medications. Somebody might be taking some medications that can lead into such kind of bedwetting, especially what called diuretics, medications that can lead into more production of urine. It can actually lead into such kind of a problem. Blockages. If for instance there is a blockage in the urinary tract somewhere, it can lead into such kind of a problem. So those are some of the few causes of bedwetting in adults. Now, bedwetting is something, especially when it happens in adults, it can cause a lot of embarrassment. It can cause a lot of social issues. It can cause even what we call stigma. I know of adults, both men and women. I know of one, she has even failed to have a relationship because of bedwetting. She's like, how can I have a boyfriend or a husband when I bedwet? She can't even visit friends and an overnight visit because of the issue of bedwetting. She can't even interact with people, have an outing where she's going to sleep. We have kids in school who can't even go to boarding school because of bedwetting. It causes a lot of stigma and embarrassment. So it's a condition that it needs to be looked at. So when it comes to management, it all depends on whether there is an underlying cause. If there is an underlying cause, it should be taken care of. If the issue of hormonal issues, if the issue of medical conditions, if it's the issue of medications, if it's the issue of neurological issues, or even psychological problems, it needs to be addressed. So cases of bedwetting on how it's managed is case per case, depending on what could be the problem. But there are those what we call general management criteria, where you may need to also even, especially with the children, you can just put even an alarm. You wake so that they are able to wake up several times at night to go and urinate. Yeah. Sometimes we have even alarms that can be put just on the thigh region or near the genitalia. The moment it just gets wet, even a small, it wakes up or it goes off so that you are able to wake up. Sometimes, addressing the cause, as I've said, you are able to know how to manage this condition. So, bedwetting is a condition that can be managed. And if you have this problem, you don't need to shy off from addressing it. Always find a way, talk to your doctor, talk to every person or whoever the person who will be able to help you so that you are able to manage it, right? So let's keep on educating each other. If you have any question, you can always ask me on my inbox. You can always call me. You can always inbox me. You can always do it on the comment section. It's a general question that you can be able to ask. Otherwise, thank you so much. Keep on following my page. Keep on subscribing to my YouTube channel and keep on supporting my articles, right? Health is wealth. Know your health and stay safe. Bye.